Hi, thanks for tuning in here today. Today we're going to be doing a nice little fun painting. I hope you guys can follow along with me. Let me have them run the colors across the screen that you'll need to paint along with me. While you're doing that, let me explain what I got up here on my easel. I have a 16 by 20 inch canvas, pre-stretched, double primed, and I added a thin layer of the liquid white. I have it on portrait mode, and I just a little bit of liquid white, and that's it. We could get started with today's painting. Today we're going to go into a little bit of phthalo blue. Just nice straight phthalo blue. Tap it onto the brush. Let's come up here and we'll just boom. Just load up your brush, both sides, and load it, and then just add that paint on. There we are. There. Let me darken up this corner, and we'll just. Today's a nice little fun one. One little painting that you can do and have under your belt. A good practice painting. And it's gonna look good. It's gonna be one that you can sell pretty easily. Okay. If you guys are into selling. Not everyone wants to sell. There's good things about selling and some things that I don't like. But it's whatever. Okay. Now, let me go ahead, let me grab a 1-inch brush. We're gonna take it into a little bit of titanium white. Just tap it into the brush. And all we're gonna do is just tap in a nice little cloud that lives out there. There. Something that we see out there. Let me put the brush to the side, and we'll just grab the same old 2-inch brush, go in circles, wisp it, lift it up, and go across. Now, it's just a simple sky, but just like that, you have yourself a nice blue sky with a nice little cloud. You know what? Actually, now that I'm looking at it, let's go ahead, let's add in another cloud. It's always good to have multiple clouds. We're just gonna tap out here, and because we blended it out, all this new layer will stand out. There we are. There. Just by tapping. There we are. And we'll just blend it out a bit. Ever so lightly. Go crisscross. Lift up very lightly. And just like so. Now, let me go ahead. We're going to grab our 1-inch brush. We're going to take a little bit of blue. Just load it onto my palette. Since I don't want to dirty that color. We'll go into a little bit of cadmium yellow. And a little bit of crimson. Just to kind of tone it down. A little more blue. Let's test this color out. Now, all we're gonna do is just add in a simple indication of some distant little trees. There we are. Just very subtle. Don't want too much color on it. Because if we put too much color, too much dark color, I should say, then it's gonna kill the illusion that it's very far away. There we are. And we can add a little bit of black to it, just a little bit. We can darken it up nearby the end. And I'm doing it at an angle. I want it like it's coming out. There we are. Now let me grab my 2-inch brush. We'll lift those up. It's just something subtle right there. Now, let's go ahead. Let me grab a nice, good old fan brush, number 6. We're going to load up a little bit of phthalo blue and slightest touch of cadmium yellow. A little bit of brown in there just to kind of dull it. Just mixing up colors, a little bit of white, a little more yellow. There. We're going to come up here and just right there. Maybe another one lives right here. And all we're going to do is plop in a nice little evergreen tree. It's too far away. That's why I'm not using like black or any of those strong colors. I want it to look very, very distant. There we are. We can add a little bit more yellow now. And we can just add a few little highlight indications. There we are. I'm being careful how much highlights I add on to it. There we are. We'll leave it at that for now. And let's go ahead, a little bit of black, a little bit of blue, a little bit of cadmium yellow. We're gonna block in a little bit of grassy area. There we are. There. Just blocking in random color. We'll add in a little more black to our color, a little touch of yellow. Change it up a bit. Now, I want an indication of a path. So all I'm gonna do is take my fan brush through Van Dyke Brown, load up my brush. We're gonna come up here and just add in a path. There we are. Wherever you think your path should live. There we are. Load up your brush. There we are. Just kind of block in just the main gist of it. We're gonna go ahead, load up some more color, a little bit of black in there. Just tap it, and we'll just block it in right then and there. There we are. Now we'll add a little more yellow. And we'll go ahead and we're gonna add in that distant grass. Okay. A little bit more of that color, that green color. That way it's not too yellow. I'm just scrubbing it on. There, let me take a step back, look at it better, and okay. So now I know what we're missing. I just saw right now in that little painting of mine. We're gonna add a little bit of black, just a little bit of blue, phthalo blue, just black and blue on my 1 inch. And we're gonna come up here and let's decide. Maybe there lives a bushy little tree. There we are. Just load up your brush and have at it. And we'll leave it at that. It's at the distance. I don't want it to be up close. Okay. Maybe we might see a few little indications here and there of a few little tree trunks. Okay, let's come up here. Let's load up my brush with cadmium yellow and just push it into the bristles. Let's come up here and just think about each little leaves that we'd probably see. Load as much as you need. Don't be shy to use up your paint. Let me grab a little bit of liquid white and we'll just few little sparklers, just a nice little distant tree. There we are. There. I kind of like that. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna use the same brush. Let's go into a little bit of black and into that same color. Just load up, mix up something good. A little bit of blue. A little more black in there. Let's come up here. Nice darker color. And we're just gonna add in another layer of distant trees. There we are. Let me grab my 2-inch, pull up very lightly. Okay. Now, gotta have to have a nice evergreen tree. So, a little bit of black, a little bit of yellow. I want this one to show up a bit better. There we are. Let's come up here. Let's decide. Maybe, shoom, boom, and maybe one lift. I don't want to do it shortest to tallest. Shoot, what the heck? Boop, boop. Just put it where you think they're supposed to go. There we are. Just tap it. Start with the top and just work your way down using the corner of your fan brush. There we are. I don't like the way the top is, so We'll fix that up right now in a sec. This isn't the best fan brush, you can say. At least for this. Maybe it's better for clouds. I always say, if a brush doesn't serve you for one purpose, it'll serve you for another one. Don't ever throw your brushes away. They'll serve for another thing. Okay? Let me just grab my palette knife and just kind of pull that up. Now, we're going to go into a little bit of cadmium yellow. Just a little bit. Load up your brush. Let's come up here and just little highlight indication. There we are. Next one. There. And I'll fade off to the dark. There we are. Boom, 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 boom. There. Just a nice little group of evergreen trees that live out there. Now, let's go ahead and let's decide, where do we want more trees to live? Let me see where. I don't want to put more trees over here. There's already you know what? I have an idea. I just have an idea. A bit of brown. And we'll go ahead and just maybe out here, maybe. Okay. Over here, we kind of. Sometimes I struggle deciding. Now, let's say, oh, I want to push it back more. All you do is just blend that color in. Look, it's further out. You have nothing to worry about. So let's go into a little bit of dark color, a little bit of black. And all we're gonna do, come up here and just push up. Just push up a little bit of leaves that live out here. Okay? There we are. Just enjoy yourself. Enjoy this process. Painting should be fun when doing this style. If you switch to traditional painting and all that, that's something else. But we're doing this style, so we should have nothing to worry about. There we are. Let's come up here and just, first I use the corner, then I kind of just push it out. There we are. The brush will do all the work for you. Okay, let's go into a little bit of cadmium yellow. We're gonna grab a little touch of liquid white just to thin it out. And let's come up here and just boom. There we are. Okay. Few little highlight. Just like so. There. Boom, boom, boom. And don't kill all the dark. Once you kill all the dark, then it's not gonna look the best. I'll tell you that because I've done it before. I'm not proud of it, but that's where we learn. That's where we learn. Okay, now let's go ahead. We're gonna load up our 1-inch and just load up our brush full with paint color, and maybe we start to see a little bit of grassy areas, just a little bit of light shining. There we are. We mostly see it on the edges because of the light, the way it is, but here and there. There we are. See, I'm always last minute. I could have done this a good while back, but I didn't know. I didn't know how I wanted my painting. But it's alright. It's all good. And I always kind of like blend it off. There we are. Okay. Now, let me grab my 1-inch and we'll just add in a few little distant bushes. Just by tapping with the corner of the brush, you get all these little bushes. Just use the corner though. Don't overdo it. Maybe right around there. Right over here. There we are. Maybe we gotta make that a little lighter if we're going in the distance. There. Okay. I'm going to some cadmium yellow, load up my brush, and we'll just come up here and tap a few little highlights. Wherever you think you want those colors. I always suggest, okay, if you know where you want your cadmium yellow to be at, let's say, fill up all those spots before you change colors, and rather than going back and forth. So look, now I'm gonna grab a little bit of crimson, and now I have a new color, and I'll fill out the spots where I want it to be orange. Okay. Shoom. There, just using the corner. It's a very, very delicate touch. Maybe. I'm basically chiseling my brush when I'm doing this, by the way. Let's go right there. Let's go into a little more red. And ooh, firecracker. There we are. Look. Boom, 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 boom. Maybe just out there. We're gonna grab a little bit of cadmium yellow, smallest touch of phthalo blue just to turn it more green. I want a few little spots more green than yellow. Just a few. Look, just like that. pretty simple. And you can just tap on a few little grassy indications. There we are. Shoot, that's simple. But don't tell our secret. Now, all I'm gonna do is let's go into a little bit of white. A bit of white, a little bit of brown. And we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of light to our path. There we are. There. Okay, now we can add a little bit of highlight onto our trees if you please. And maybe a little bit over here. Just mixing up color and loading it back on. There we are. Making the tree trunks a little bit more thicker so they can support the little tree branches. You know what? Let's go ahead. Let's go into a little bit of Van Dyke brown, and we'll go into a little bit of ivory black. We'll come up here, and all I want is maybe just there we are. Just have fun with it. Enjoy it. Now think of it of a V. There we are. And you can add another little branch back there. Now, I'm going to go into ivory black, and all I want is just interesting patterns for a big tree. There we are. There. And we'll go into cadmium yellow and just think about where the light would kind of hit it. There we are. There. And all I'm gonna do, add a little bit of highlight. We'll go up here and just, that's a strong tree. Okay. And then let's go ahead and just block in more color. We'll go with this brighter green color. It's more vibrant. There we are. We'll add a little bit of black just to kind of darken it because of the bush. Less light would hit it. And maybe over here, just kind of work it in. And just load up your brush full with color. And all I'm doing, just kind of tapping it in. And all I'm gonna do is just pull it and blend it. Okay, a little bit of black. Just putting something at random. Just a little silhouette. Okay, you know what? Maybe over here, there's just a little bit. We see more. There, maybe out here, just maybe since it's closer, you see a bit more. You know what? That's gonna take long. We're gonna go with the big guns. Good old 2-inch brush. There. And just kind of blend it out. There we are. And we can go on and on. I just want a little bit of color out here. Okay. And let's go ahead. A little bit of black, a little bit of brown, and let's decide. There we are. And there. We're gonna pull that color down. Then we're gonna highlight it. And it should be close to the end of this video. A little bit of rocky highlights using the fan brush. Just blocking in at random. You can grab your brush a little bit different since we're not painting evergreens. All you want to do is block in those colors. A little bit of black, a little bit of brown, a little touch of blue. We're going to come up here and shoom. There we are. Okay. Just load up your brush and just have fun with it. Maybe a little bit of grass shows up right there. And you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's have fun. We'll put in another big tree. I know I probably went off the time limit, but you know what? Who cares for this one? I think this one's worth it. And just pure black. There we are. There. Okay. We're going to go into a little bit of brown, a little bit of white, and just highlight this tree. Okay. A little bit of brown, a little bit of black. On this one I want shadows because it's close up. So I want just a little bit more detail. There we are. We'll go into a little bit of yellow, cadmium yellow, and we'll block in a few little leafy highlights. And with that concludes today's video. I really hope you enjoyed this painting. Try this painting out. If you do, send me an email. I would love to see what you create. I'd like to wish each and every one of you the best of luck, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care, my friends. Goodbye.